Hello everyone, welcome to Inconvenient Truths. I'm your host, Jennifer Zeng. Yesterday, that's February the 5th, Australian Chinese writer Yang Hengjun was suddenly sentenced to death by the CCP after being detained in China for more than 4 years. This shocked not only Australia and the overseas Chinese community, but also the world. Yang was charged with espionage, and many people believe that he is actually a double agent. For me, his case has important implications for our understanding of the ever more complex and sophisticated cognitive warfare that the CCP is waging against the world. So today I'd like to talk briefly about his case. Yang Hengjun, also known as Yang Jun, was born in China in 1965, so he is 59 years old now. He studied international politics at Fujian University in Shanghai. He claimed that he worked at the Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Beijing after that. However, in a letter he wrote to his former teacher Feng Chongyi, who currently lives in Australia, he revealed that he had worked for the State Security Ministry of China for 10 years, since 1989. In other words, he was a CCP spy. In 1992, he was transferred to Hong Kong, and after the CCP took over Hong Kong in 1997, he was sent to Washington, D.C. in the U.S. and served as a senior fellow at the Atlantic Council, a U.S. think tank. In 2000, he migrated to Australia with his family and later became an Australian citizen. He started writing novels and articles in 2002. His best-known novels are about political espionage, and a lot of his articles are pro-democracy. He called himself a democracy peddler and won a lot of followers on social media. In theory, if one is really pro-democracy and anti-CCP, he or she will be regarded as an enemy by the CCP and usually doesn't want to go back to China as it is dangerous. However, Yang had no problems entering or leaving China. In 2014, he was even invited to the CCP's national banquet for the 55th anniversary of the founding of the CCP's regime. On December 11, 2014, 35 presidents of overseas Chinese media from all over the world collaborated to set up a so-called International New Media Cooperation Organization in Beijing, and Yang was appointed as the chairman. Most of the members of this organization are overseas Chinese media invested or directly controlled by the CCP's propaganda ministry, such as phonic, state satellite television, and so on. Yang's current and second wife, Yuan Xiaoliang, whose online name is Ran Xiang, acts as the vice chairperson of the board of directors. Yang's marriage with Yuan Xiaoliang or Ran Xiang also made many people's jaws drop. As Yuan Xiaoliang had been a very famous so-called Wu Mao or 50 Cent army in China, she is very well known for her extremely pro-CCP stance. These are some of her photos with other famous CCP Wu Mao. Sometimes she even posted this kind of photo of herself online. Because of this, many overseas Chinese people believed that Yang still worked for the CCP or had become the CCP's 大外宣 big international propaganda personnel. I actually had a personal encounter with him back in 2007 or so. I met him at a Chinese writers event in Sydney, and we started to talk. He told me that he had been in constant communication with the chief editor of a US-based Chinese language website called Vision Times as her as he often submitted articles to this website. And I said, what a coincidence. I just came back from the US. I actually just met that chief editor and she treated me to lunch. What do you think he would say or should say under such a circumstance? Or if he had a question about that chief editor or about our meeting or lunch, what kind of a question would he ask? I guess nobody would expect that he asked me such a question. How tall is she? I replied without much thinking, oh, she's about my height. But I immediately felt very uncomfortable about his question and my reply, and I wondered whether I had given out some information that I should not have disclosed. I also suddenly remembered that somebody had owned me against him. Obviously, he had never met that chief editor. They only talked to each other online, and that as that chief editor only used a pen name publicly, he might not even know her real name. By asking how tall she was, he was trying to establish her profile or identity, and I was trapped into betraying her height information. Why did I make such a conclusion? Because I suddenly remembered a story that Chen Yonglin told me. Chen Yonglin is a former Chinese diplomat who worked at the Chinese consulate in Sydney. He walked out of the consulate and defected to Australia in 2005 and exposed that there were about 1,000 CCP spies in Australia. That number shocked the Australian people very much. Chen Yonglin told me that before he defected, the Chinese consulate in Sydney had already compiled a name list of about 800 Falun Gong practitioners in Australia. Falun Gong is a spiritual practice that has been persecuted in China since 1999. Overseas Falun Gong practitioners have been organizing all sorts of activities to raise awareness about the persecution. As a result, they also became the CCP's enemy, and one of the main tasks for CCP diplomats such as Chen Yonglin was to collect information about every single Falun Gong practitioner, especially the most active ones. Chen Yonglin said after they compiled the name list of Australian Falun Gong practitioners, they started to collect their photos and to match the photos with their names. They wanted to establish a more advanced and complete database of Falun Gong practitioners. Chen Yonglin walked out at this stage because he didn't want to help the CCP to persecute Falun Gong anymore. Before he left, he deleted the database of Falun Gong practitioners. Anyway, the story that Chen Yonglin told me made me feel very, very bad about having disclosed that chief editor's height, as she happened to be a Falun Gong practitioner too. So from this personal encounter with Yang Hengjun, I always have reservations about him, no matter how other people say that he was really pro-democracy and wanted to bring democracy to China. After the news of his suspended death came out, there have been heated debates among overseas Chinese people regarding what kind of a person Yang really is and why the CCP handed out such a severe sentence. Some believe that he's really anti-CCP and that's why the CCP hates him. Some believe that he's a double agent and that he had betrayed the CCP's most guarded secrets to the West. Some even say that he has sold a lot of CCP secrets to Taiwan, etc. Some also say that he is a victim of the CCP's internal power struggle. He may belong to China's China's former vice chairman Zeng Qinghong's faction. As Zeng Qinghong lost his battle with Xi Jinping, Yang Hengjun must be eliminated as well. I don't know which of the above claims about Yang is correct. Maybe he really was once a CCP spy but developed a desire for democracy after living in Australia for a long time. Or maybe he just wrote all those pro-democracy articles as a disguise. In any case, a death sentence is very shocking and makes one wonder what he really did to make the CCP want to kill him. Some say that this is because the CCP wants to keep him as a hostage, as he's an Australian citizen. The CCP wants to use him as a bargaining chip to blackmail the Australian government. No matter what, his case shows us how ever more complicated and sophisticated the CCP's cognitive warfare is becoming. Recently, there was another very high-profile case in which a former China Central TV CCTV reporter who currently lives in Japan went to Taiwan recently and attacked a disabled politician in a talk show. He also attacked Taiwan's democracy and elections. As a matter of fact, he even imitated that politician on the talk show, and his bad taste behavior angered Taiwan society as a whole. He was later found to have violated Taiwan's immigration and labor law by working in Taiwan with a tourist visa as a passport holder of China. As a result, his visa was revoked and he was banned from entering Taiwan for 5 years. But instead of apologizing for his improper act and statements, this man continued to attack Taiwan's democracy and elections after he returned to Japan. He has a big following on YouTube and X, as he also criticized the CCP a lot. A lot of Chinese people think he's a great reporter and believe in what he says. Those who just jumped over the CCP's great firewall to try to get information from the free world think even more highly of him. And he has successfully established a narrative. The current ruling party in Taiwan is persecuting him, so it is the same as the CCP. Taiwan's political parties are no different from the CCP, and Taiwan is not much better than China. This kind of tactic is called 小骂大帮忙, which can be translated as little curse, big help. Some people criticized the CCP on small issues to establish credit and then help the CCP at critical moments or on most important issues. There's another tactic called 搅浑水, which can be translated as muddy the waters. They twist facts and use twisted logic to make people, especially Chinese people, believe that although the CCP is banned, all other people in the world are as bad or even worse. So there's no point trying to overthrow the CCP, as other people may be worse. In this way, they successfully help the CCP. Have you ever encountered such people? Well, that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. Please help me spread the most important message by sharing my channel or videos, or go to my website at jenniferzengblog.com to sign up for a membership or make a donation to support my effort. Thank you. See you next time.